Why do people buy more when the price falls? So when you walk into a store and the price decreases, why do you tend to purchase more of that? The law of demand helps us understand that. And regardless of who you are already putting the law of demand into practice each and every day, whether you realize it or not. So, what does the law of demand tell us? It tells us simply that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Ceteris paribus just simply means that all else is equal. So there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. So as you can see in our graphic up here, as the price of a burger goes from $10 down to 2, what do we all do? We get excited, right? I know I certainly do. So what that helps us do is purchase more with the amount of resources that we have available. So as the price goes up, quantity demanded goes down, ceteris paribus. And as the price goes down, the quantity demanded goes up, ceteris paribus. And that's exactly what our picture here shows us when we all get excited when prices get lower. So let's put this law of demand into pure practice here and talk about it in a demand schedule. And let's continue talking about a topic and a subject and a food that tastes great that we all love, burgers, right? So our demand schedule for burgers is as follows here. The price is always on the y-axis. We're going to graph this in just a second so you can understand and see what a demand curve looks like on a graph. So your price will be on the y-axis. You can see that here. The quantity demanded will be on your x-axis here. So at a price of $10 for a burger, that's just simply too high for me, right? No way am I purchasing that a burger at that price, so my quantity demanded will be 0. At a price of 8, that's coming down. My quantity demanded goes to 2, and that's right in line with what the law of demand says, because as this price comes down, our quantity demanded is going to increase. So as our price values over here on the left column decrease, our quantity demanded over here on the right side is going to increase. There's an inverse relationship between those two. This demand schedule here allows us to create what we call a linear demand function that we can graph on a graphing calculator, or I'm going to show you an awesome tool online that you can use free of charge called Desmos.com. It's a great tool. I'm simply getting this from, if I plug in our numbers here in our demand schedule, this demand function here proves to be true. So my X value over here is simply 10 minus each Y value, and that gives me this number here. So let's do the first one. X equals 10 minus my Y value of 10. X will be 0. Let's move on to the next one just for a little bit more practice here. X equals 10 minus my Y value of 8. So 10 minus 8 would be 2. Last one here for example purposes. How do we get to the 6? So if we do X equals 10 minus 6, our X value will be 4. Okay, so let's take a look at this on a graph here. And I want you, before we do that, to take a guess at something here. Now that we know that the price is on our y-axis, quantity demand is on our x-axis, and as prices go down, quantity demanded goes up. Do you think that this demand curve we're fixing to graph is going to be a upward sloping curve or a downward sloping curve? Most people say that it's going to be a downward sloping curve, and they're exactly right. So let's go ahead and graph this particular function we just talked about here, and there it is. There is x minus 10y on Desmos, as you can see here, a super awesome website, and this basically allows you to zoom in, make it larger, help you understand a little bit more graphing calculator. And what I'm going to do is plot out the points that we just talked about on our demand schedule to help you understand them. So the price is going to be on our y-axis right here. And what I want you to think about on this y-axis to help you understand this and visualize this is think about dollar signs right in front of that 10, right in front of the 8, right in front of the 6, right in front of the 4, and that 2. On the x-axis here, think about burgers down here. 2 burgers, 4 burgers, 6 burgers, 8 burgers, and 10 burgers. Who don't want 10 free burgers, right? So I'm going to plot these points and show you just exactly why there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, and also show you how we as humans and consumers with a limited amount of resources purchase more when the price goes down. So at the point here of 0 and 10, I've labeled it for you. When the price is 10, my quantity demanded is 0. I told you guys earlier, $10 for a burger for me is just simply too high. Okay, let's move on down to the point of 2 and 8 right here. As the price comes down to 8, that's a little more fair to me. So the quantity demanded for me is going to move on to 2. Okay, let's move on a little bit lower. As the price comes down to 6, hey, sounded even better. The quantity demanded for me goes to 4 at that particular time right here. Let's move on down. Proven here that the law of demand does allow us to create a negatively sloped curve. As the price gets to 4, I'm going to want more of it, right? I can purchase more with the money I have available. My quantity demanded goes to 6 right here. As the price goes to 2, my quantity demanded goes to 8. And then as my price comes down to 0, I'll take 10 free burgers, right? Who doesn't want that? So, what this shows us graphically is that a demand curve is negatively sloping. We can basically show and prove to someone and help consumers understand how the law of demand truly works graphically because we know that there's an inverse relationship now between price and quantity demanded. So when you think about a graph in the future, don't fret about it. Just think about dollar signs and price on that y-axis, and then the quantity demanded. In our particular case, we're talking about burgers. So think about burgers on that x-axis, and that will help you understand what we're looking at visually here instead of just points. Think about it in a realistic term. The more you think about economics in the realistic terms and think about yourself when you're purchasing burgers, how do you respond to price changes? This will help you understand that, in fact, there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. As the price goes down, us consumers want more. And that's the law of demand. Keep up the good work. You can do it.